Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage CEO of Atlas Network, Brad Lipps.
All right, thank you everyone. It has been a busy day, but we've got more ahead. Are you ready for a little more Liberty Forum? Now, I know that many of you have come long distances to be here in Miami, which several months ago, it was very clear this was one of the few places that we could count on to be in business to let us be here together today. It's a remarkable city. I know that our friends at Free the People are working on a film called Ciudad de Libertad, showing how Miami has become a shining city on the hill for many people escaping several different types of persecution. Over the last months, our team has become privileged to get to know Miami's Mayor Suarez, and he kindly offered some words of welcome to our community.
Hello, everyone. This is Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, and I want to wish you all a very warm Miami welcome to this year's Liberty Forum and Freedom Dinner. Thank you for coming to our city, and while you're here, please take advantage of everything Miami has to offer, from the nightlife and the restaurants to our history and our culture. Almost everything that you experience here possesses the unique characteristic of being shaped by a shared experience of a flight from tyranny. Economic freedom and prosperity is something Miami cherishes dearly, and very few cities understand the value of this. Miami is a global hub based on the free trade of goods and services, and by focusing on those objectives, we've achieved the highest bond rating in city history, the second lowest tax rate since the 1960s, and we've achieved a budget surplus. But in order to create and maintain that growth, we need to expand those freedoms, because the goal of any government should be to promote innovation and spur economic well-being. Thank you again for having me, and God bless.
Okay, thank you to Mayor Suarez for those remarks. And now, as you begin your salads, I'd like to draw your attention to the novella that you have found on your chair as you entered this evening. This is an entertaining piece of political satire that uses humor to highlight some of the economic and moral fallacies of our time, and calls attention to the dire consequences that could follow if all of us in this room fail in our job of correcting them. So Base Type Nil is a gift to you from our friend Michel Kelly-Gagnon of the Montreal Economic Institute. This dates both of us, Michelle, but I remember 21 years ago at an Atlas event in Switzerland, you mentioning that we needed to appeal not just to the mind, but also to people's sense of humor, to their moral conscience and their hearts. That remains something we're talking about today, but it was quite radical at the time. So it's in this vein that Michelle has given us this wonderful little novella and another gift as well. We have back at Liberty Forum one of my favorite songwriters, Lindy Vappenfjord, who has a new song called Stand Up for Freedom, which Michelle commissioned him to write. That will be the last of 3 songs that Lindy has agreed to play for us now before we get to the meat of tonight's program. I'd like you to listen closely and enjoy as we welcome to the stage Lindy Vappenfjord.
What an incredible honor it is to be here to play for all of you brilliant minds who enjoy freedom and liberty so much. I'm going to start off with a little ditty I wrote in support of freedom in Cuba, and with so many Cubans here, I figured it was appropriate. And there might be a time, if you want to clap along, maybe steer those claps towards thinking about all the people in Cuba that still feel the oppression of tyranny in that country. All right, here we go. On the day that Castro died, all the people cried and cried, tears of joy, oh, tears of joy. Everybody lit cigars, yes, they'll finally get new cars on the day that Castro died. They got washing machines, they got medicine and jeans, all the things they had been denied. Oh, the iron fist released as the dictator deceased on the day that Castro died. Woo! Ready? They got freedom of speech and all kinds of books to teach, and the prisoners were all let go. The tourists gave their money to the people, not the funny-looking man with the stupid beard. On the day that Castro died, all the people cried and cried, tears of joy, oh, tears of joy. The dictatorship went down, lots of partying around on the day that Castro died. On the day that Castro died, all the people cried and cried, tears of joy, oh, tears of joy. Everybody lit cigars, yes, we'll finally get new cars on the day that Castro died. On the day that Castro died. On the day that Castro died. Hasta la victoria siempre, ole! Thanks very much. I'm going to sing a love song. It's for Brad and Stephanie Lips. It's a song that they've enjoyed for a long time, and I think they fell in love maybe with this song. I don't know. It's one of my older songs. It's called Beautifully Undone. I don't remember what it used to be like, the things that I'm not proud of. And the only reason I kept coming back to you is 'cause I thought I was in love. But I don't think about you anymore. And I wonder what the hell I came here for. When I'd rather just fall right off of your floor and come beautifully undone. I don't recall San Francisco at all. It falls right from my memory. And the only place that really exists is where you thought you'd found me. But I don't think about you anymore. And I wonder what the hell I came here for, when I'd rather just fall right off of your floor and come beautifully Thank you very much. And there's my friend Michel Kelly-Gagnon and the Montreal Economic Institute. And this is a song that would not have happened without this fine fellow who brought this news story to my attention about Zoe Lee Bueller in Australia, a young mother who, 8 months pregnant, handcuffed in front of her kids for incitement for a Facebook post that was sort of against the lockdown. And yeah, it was kind of not cool. Even though I'm not really opposed to public health measures, it's just too much. Okay, so here's this song. I'm so proud of it. It's a protest song. They showed up at her house after they found her post online. Handcuffed her in front of her kids for what amounts to a thought crime. They hide behind screens to find you and read every word you say. Nobody knows the rules. They're changing day by day. But if you believe in freedom, have faith in what you believe. Liberty is fragile. It can be broken so easily. So speak up for the ones who have lost so much. Stand up for what you know is right. You're gonna find there comes a time when you have to stand up for freedom. She was 8 months pregnant when they took her downtown. Apparently you can't plan a protest, well, if it's against the lockdown. Some people only seek power. They always say they know what's best. But when you challenge authority, it's always a test. But if you believe in freedom, have faith in what you believe. Liberty is fragile. It can be broken so easily. So speak up for the ones who have lost so much. Stand up for what you know is right. You're gonna find there comes a time when you have to stand up for freedom. Stand up for freedom. Stand up for freedom. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lindy Boppingford. After tonight's dinner program, we're going to be going out onto the lawn, the Americana lawn over here, and Lindy will be playing as part of our Atlas After Dark gathering. Between now and then, though, we've got two really important competitions which have become important hallmarks of our Atlas Liberty Forum. One other tradition at Liberty Forum is that I anger Rob Shementz by doing a shush to make you all pay attention to Think Dark Shark Tank. So, shh. It works, Rob. So now it is time for the first of these two contests that we hold as part of our Eyes on the Prize evening. Please welcome to the stage my colleague Vale Sloan to take care of our Think Tank Shark Tank competition.
It's not every day I get such intense entrance music to a room, so I do appreciate it. Damas y caballeros, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 Think Tank Shark Tank. Fabulous to be here. We are absolutely thrilled for you to be joining us today in person for something that's become a celebrated tradition on Atlas Network's main stage for almost 10 years now. And of course, a shout out to our viewers at home. We wish you were here, but thanks for signing in. This competition really does stand out from many of the other programs that we feature at our events. And why is that? Well, it may have something to do with your roguishly handsome MC with a great Australian accent, but you know, it may also have something to do with the fact that it's where we try to encourage the network to think outside of the box, to discover the next truly innovative, entrepreneurial, and impactful idea to advance the cause of liberty. Now, I imagine that most of us have seen the wildly successful ABC television show Shark Tank. And what's so cool about that show is that some of the most simple products earn the investment dollars from the judges, and they're so highly successful. For heaven's sake, the third most successful Shark Tank innovation is a product called Scrub Daddy, a cleaning sponge with a smiley face on it. I may or may not own one of those myself. You know what? In the top 10 most successful products is the Squatty Potty. I'll leave your imaginations to what that involves, but why couldn't I have thought of that and made millions of dollars? But that's what's so interesting and risky about the business world. To many of us observing, it can almost seem too easy. You have a great idea, you can change people's lives, and hey, make millions of dollars in the process. But so much goes into the strategy, development, marketing, and management of turning an idea into reality. So not only do you need to have the right idea, you've got to have the right people leading the charge. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most sobering realities for us in the liberty movement. The cavalry is not coming to save us. It is up to us, the people in this room, to lead the charge as the first line of attack and last line of defense in protecting the ideas that we believe in: individual freedom, prosperity, entrepreneurship. And that's why it's so exciting tonight to have some of the best and brightest freedom movement leaders share their ideas for a better future. In front of you tonight will be 3 intellectual entrepreneurs with proven track records in our network, pitching their 3 new ideas on how they can improve and in some cases save the lives of people in their communities. They will each have just 5 minutes to pitch their project to our esteemed panel of judges. And when I say 5 minutes, I'm that guy who gets to cut them off if they go over. Not only that, the judges will have only 5 minutes to ask a series of probing questions to get to the core of their projects and cross-examine each of our contestants. As we break for dinner, our judges will then determine which project will be the winner of our 2021 Think Tank Shark Tank grand prize of $25,000. 25 grand, that's pretty good. Now, before I introduce our judges, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Smith Family Foundation for supporting our Think Tank Shark Tank program and the competition. You all preempted me with my request for a round of applause, so thank you for the spontaneity. I really appreciate that. Now I'd like to invite our esteemed judges to the stage. First up, we have Fred Young, an experienced independent investor. Come on down, Fred. Next up, we have Linda Whetstone, president of the Mont Pelerin Society. And finally, we have Arturo Brillenborg of the Brillenborg Ochoa Family Foundation. Arturo, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you are just as excited to begin the main event as I am, so let's get started with our first contestant, Basanta Adhikari of Vikalpa, an alternative from Nepal, pitching his project promoting economic freedom through youth mobilization. Basanta, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I start?
All yours.
This is my country, Nepal. A sandwich in between India and China with around 30 million population. It is one of the best touristic destinations in the world. Out of 10 highest peaks of the world, we have 8 of those. We are 57 years ahead than the English calendar. But in terms of economic development, we are a century behind. We are very rich in our culture and diversity. Having so much potential, we are one of the poorest economies in the world. 20% of Nepalese still lives below the poverty line. Which is why every year around 500,000 Nepalese are forced to leave the country as a migrant worker to seek the economic opportunities elsewhere. And every day we receive at least 3 to 4 dead bodies of those people at our international airport. The question is, why? Why is Nepal poor? At Vikalpa, we believe Nepal is poor because we lack economic freedom. We lack economic opportunities. Realizing this, we started Economic Freedom Campaign in 2020 to shift the mainstream political discourse towards the economy. Campaign advocates 4 fundamental principles of economic freedom: freedom to enterprise, rule of law and security of life and property, freedom of choice and competition, and accountable and limited government. So the rights of every Nepalese are respected and people are free to pursue their livelihood and prosper in their own country. We are engaging and educating our people on these core values through various means. We also have designed the promotional materials and aggressively promoting it. And in very short period of time, we have created a very good visibility of the campaign in our region. Now we would like to take this campaign further. We want to reach to the grassroots people and create even a bigger discourses. Viratnagar is the metropolitan city. It's a capital city of Eastern region. It is also a political and economic hub of the country. It has 19 administrative wards. It has 19 administrative units, local units. We will select a boy and a girl from each of these 19 administrative units and educate and engage 38 young volunteers to promote the ideas of individual and economic freedom. These volunteers will be from 18 to 24 years of age, who can be manipulated and brainwashed by the opponent's ideas and their ideologies. After a year-long engagement with Vikalpa, these volunteers will be the freedom champions. 12 monthly sessions will be organized, where 38 young volunteers will meet every month in the form of discussion, seminar, workshop, and the planning sessions. These volunteers will also have an opportunity to get involved in other Vikalpa activities where they can learn many things, where they can develop their skills, leadership, capacity, knowledge, skills, everything. We'll also give them the small grant to take initiatives. At least 19 initiatives will be taken by these fellows at their respective places, which will help to create the visibility of the campaign. The campaign will have around 100,000 people reach. And out of 19 local administrative groups, 3 will continue to work for the values of freedom. As we know, the ideas are more powerful than the guns. If we do not teach our youth the value of peace and freedom, somebody else is going to teach them. We need to teach these fellows. We need to develop these fellows, and we need your support to develop these fellows. And we need your support to develop these fellows because there is hardly anyone to teach our people on these values in our region. We can make this campaign successful because the campaign is already ongoing, and we have very good youth mobilization skill and the network of young people. If we get the support, we are going to invest the money in this way. Thank you. Can I have some water?
Thank you, Basanta, and at exactly 5 minutes, you make my life very easy. Now, our judges will have a chance to ask you some questions, Basanta, and let's kick off your 5-minute time with Fred Young. Fred, do you have a question for Basanta?
You're going to be recruiting 38, at least 19 will be involved, and spend a year with your group as apprentices. After that, you expect them to initiate programs throughout the provinces. How will they finance those initiatives after they finish their 1 year of work with you?
So how are we going to finance them?
Pardon me?
How are we going to finance them?
How are you going to finance them? How will they finance their work after they finish the 1 year with you?
Actually, what we are thinking is that we are going to give them the small grants. So in Biratnagar, so we are going to give them the $250 grant to each of these groups, and then they will organize at least 1 or 2 activities. And then for 3 groups, we are also going to give $1,000 each, and then we'll also give them the mentoring, so they can continue their effort. And other thing is that we can also relate them with other business associations after. We can also relate them with the local policymakers, where they can, where we can work together. So this is what we are thinking right now. And then they can also be the part of other Bikalpa activities regularly. So we will find sources from different other donor agencies also. So when we can create the kind of base, when we can create a kind of visibility, then other people will also be, other agencies will be, they will be willing to work with us, and then at that time we can invest that money to these people.
Linda, do we have a question from you?
I do. Basanta, you're going to choose 2 young people from each of the 19 administrative regions. How are you going to choose them?
Since the beginning, Bikalpa has been working with the young people. So every year we are working with 800, we are reaching to 800 to 1,000 young people. So we have a very good network of young people. So that's why it won't be a problem reaching them. The other thing is that we are planning to open the application, and then we will do the selection. So we will get them through the reference. So the previous participants, the alumni, they will give the reference of those people. And then also we'll find them from the local region. I mean to say that from the local representatives, they can refer them.
Thank you.
Arturo, do you have a question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Basanta. I have an unusual question for you, which is, can you name me a person, a young person that you have worked with? Give me a name and tell me what was the project or the thing that made that person interesting for you that they were able to accomplish.
Actually, we used to organize this entrepreneur stock program. So one of the guy, returning from Switzerland, so he was thinking to go to Canada. So he was also the part of our program. And then when he listened the guy speaking, the entrepreneur stock program, the entrepreneur was sharing his story. When he hear him speaking, later he said that I thought to start my own business instead of going Canada. And it is your inspiration. Today I'm here. So now he has got a very good coffee shop. Now he has got a construction business. So he gives the credit to us. So, and we have got some success stories like this. And then definitely in coming days, we can create more success stories like this. His name is Avinayak Malla. I can just say his name.
Thank you.
When your ambassadors of freedom begin their projects, how do you plan to measure their success?
The 38 volunteers who will hold the ideas, who will have the ideas, who will be with us working as an intern in later days. So who will be participating with us. The 38 volunteers will be one measure of success. The 3 groups that we will create in the local area, and then working with us closely, that will be another measure of success. The other thing is that the media mentions, the visual media reach, the articles and the publication that reach to many people, the number of people who are ready to support our cause, the number of merchandising activities that reach to the local level, and then, the discourse that is going to create in the society local area. So we will measure our success in that way.
Thank you.
Well, with 10 seconds left of the question time, I think that about wraps it up, Basanta. So thank you so much for your pitch.
Thank you.
Next up, our second contestant is Tere Noya of the Center for Economic Renewal, Growth and Excellence, Puerto Rico, pitching her project, Portraits of Prosperity, a Puerto Rican Perspective. Welcome, Tere.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Tere Noya, and tonight I want to talk to you about the power of images to shift mindsets and ignite change. I want to start off by asking you to raise your hands if you've ever Googled images. Right? Almost all of us, right? Now I want to ask you to raise your hands if you've ever Googled images of Puerto Rico. Some of you, huh? Maybe you were planning a vacation or trying to get tickets to the Bad Bunny concert or trying to find the lyrics to Despacito, right? We have all been there, right? So you've seen these images, right? Our Spanish castles, our greenery, our breathtaking beaches, our food, our culture, our warmth. But that does not tell the whole story. Recently, Puerto Rico has been riddled in financial crisis, devastation, and political turmoil. It has been a rough decade for us. And the American citizens who live on the island territory are running low on hope. At Centro Crece, we are banking on the power of images to uplift our people and invite them to envision a thriving and prosperous Puerto Rico, where hard work and entrepreneurship provide opportunities for future generations. We know that images are powerful. They unite us, and they show our very essence. With our project, we are using images to tell the stories of intrepid Puerto Rican entrepreneurs who are determined to build a future in Puerto Rico through their own agency and not moving to Florida. It happens. University and high school students will participate in a photography contest to illustrate the value of entrepreneurship in our communities. We will teach them about economic freedom as a path to prosperity, and will tell the stories of Puerto Ricans determined to build different paths away from dependency and on to self-reliance. Their works will be showcased in a public exhibit, in our social media, and in the press. An additional $25,000 would allow us to transform our exhibit from a stationary one to a traveling one, so we are able to reach people in urban and rural areas all over the island with images that invoke a mindset of hopeful transformation away from pessimistic dependency. Puerto Rican families are yearning for stories of hopeful transformation. They need to view the island as a platform for growth, so their children choose to stay there instead of moving to the mainland. Before I go, I want you to meet Emil. Emil is a smart and confident 11-year-old who chose to open his lemonade business with the help of one of our programs. His successful venture has injected his family and friends with hope for a prosperous Puerto Rico. Emil reminds us that success is contagious. We've all been Emil at some point in our lives. If he can do it, we can too. Please help us spread positivity by telling the stories of people who have chosen to move away from dependency and onto prosperity. And now, Sharks, I invite you to jump in the Puerto Rican waters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry. Judges, let's commence our 5 minutes of questioning. Let's begin with Linda this time. Linda?
Terry, that
Yes.
was a lovely presentation.
Thank you.
It's quite a lot of money. Are these other people who win it, who are selected, are they going to get any prizes?
Yes, they are. They will compete for cash prizes, and they'll also get the incentives of building up their portfolios for either university or career professions and jobs, but they will get cash prizes. It is that type of competition.
Arturo?
In your presentation, I didn't see any money spent on social media. Are you going to have a social media attack?
Yes, we are going to have a social media attack, and our project includes the creation of a digital album of the works that will be promoted through social media, as well as through the exhibit.
Fred?
Do you really believe you can find 50 students who are supportive of entrepreneurship and who are also proficient in photography?
Yes.
And if not, what will you do to provide that proficiency?
That's a good question. We have an entrepreneurship education program whereby we have built very solid and good relationships with both public and private schools around the island. So we already have a network of schools that are very interested in providing this type of opportunity to students. And we think that it will be a great incentive for them to just use their cameras to capture these stories. I'm pretty sure that we can find 50.
Do you plan to have any training?
We're not providing any training. We are providing them with prompts and with a video tutorial on entrepreneurship and economic freedom. The prompts will allow them to go out and seek that value of entrepreneurship. We'll be very specific in explaining to them that it's not so much the picture of the guy in front of his food truck. It's the story behind that guy and that food truck that they need to capture. And what is the value added of that entrepreneur in their community? How have they contributed to making their communities better? So.
Thank you.
Any further questions, judges? Linda?
How are you going to judge the success or otherwise of the project?
Okay. Yes, we are going to. One of the measurements is obviously participation. The other one is the amount of people that come visit our exhibit. And if we are able to make it a traveling one, we will take that exhibit to different points of the island so that more people are able to view it and visit it. We will have a visitor login to record the impressions of our visitors in their exhibits. What were they thinking? Have they ever thought about opening a business? And if so, can we help them connect them with startup organizations and people that can help them in that process. So that's really how we're going to measure the amount of people that not only visit us, but that stay in that relationship with us so that we can guide them through the process.
Any final quick questions from our judges?
Yes, could you give us a little bit of sense of what time framework are we talking about? How long will they have to create the exhibition, and then how long will you be running around with the exhibition?
Okay, so we are talking about maybe the project will be about 6 to 8 months. We will have them work in the second semester of our school year. We would start contacting the schools now in February or January so that they are able to go out and get their pictures and all that kind of stuff before May, which is the end of the school year in Puerto Rico. And then we will use the summertime to have that traveling exhibit, have the inauguration exhibit where we announce the winners
And that's
of the
5
contest.
minutes, Terry. Sorry to be that guy, but
That's
thank you
okay.
so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Which brings us to our third and final contestant for Think Tank Shark Tank tonight. Danil Lubkin, you're up. Danil is from Ukrainian Students for Freedom with his project, Freer Belarus. Danil, welcome to the stage.
My friends, honorable sharks, my name is Daniel Lubkin. I'm here with Ukrainian Students for Freedom. And I would ask all of you to imagine yourself on a plane. A usual plane with not enough place for your legs, with bad, not tasty food, with not comfortable chairs. Nothing really special except one thing. This plane has to land 40 minutes earlier and in other country. The reason for that, as a pilot announced to all of you, is because there is dangerous terrorist on the board. And of course, you are afraid because terrorists in planes usually doesn't end up really good. But this person is not a weapon smuggler. This person is not a drug dealer. This person is not convicted of any serious crime anywhere outside of Belarus. And I bet that all sharks, and I think most of the people in this room, can be accused of his crime. This person is Ron Protasevich. He is a journalist, he is a loving boyfriend, he is a patriot of his own country. His crime was freedom-loving and freedom-fighting. He was an admin of an anonymous Telegram channel that was speaking the truth about the protest, peaceful protest that broke up in 2020 after a massive falsification in Belarus. These protests were brutally repressed. We have more than 40 people killed, 4,000 politically imprisoned, 10,000 exiles. In a small country like Belarus, these are a huge, huge numbers. So, if you think they're successful, if you think the regime is successful in fighting with freedom movement, if the freedom movement is silent and we don't have any chance to actually overthrow the regime that is already right now there, well, you're wrong. What I have here is a flag that was given to me by people who are still inside Belarus for 2 weeks ago, with one actually reason: go and find help for them. Artur, can you hold it for me, please? It's for you. Thank you. With that in mind, we want to create a project that's called Freer Belarus. On the first stage, from more than 200 applications, we'll select only 50 people to go for 1 month in-depth education about freedom and tools for fight for it. On a second stage, only 20 people from these 50 will be selected to go to Ukraine and have actually on the ground 3 days in-depth studying about freedom, economics, politics, and philosophy. And in the third part, only 3 people from these 20 will be selected to have the paid internship in our partner programs. The main idea of this internship is to prepare these people to draft a new vision of free Belarus with free people and free markets. It is important to underline that all our program is actually based on Atlas Network vision. Coach, it's really simple. We have coaching through all out our 3 stages because education and being educated and educating other people is part of all 3 stages. Compete, well, you have 200 applications, 50 people, then 20, then 3. Obviously, there's a huge competition in the end. And celebrate. In the last stage, the people who will prepare the report will publish it. And if they're okay, their real names will be stated as authors. And I bet that most people in this room will hear more about new freedom fighters from Belarus. Finally, what is our, as Sharks would say, market value? What is our killer feature? Well, the thing is, we have 3 components that make Ukrainian Students for Freedom are a unique organization to conduct such program. First thing, we have experience because we already have had a leadership program, Belarus, generously sponsored by Atlas Network for more than 300 people with other ideas, but it was really greatly organized. Secondly, we have enough people to actually manage this program. And thirdly, which is much more important, we have trust of these people. They trust us, already trusted us with flags, with their real names, with their addresses. We're not KGB crooks, we're freedom fighters as they are, and we will help them to be more effective and more efficient. We need more people like Roman Protasevich, but not in prison, outside of it, who will draft a better vision of Belarus, who will change Belarus in the future. Let's make a freer Belarus together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danil. Your 5 minutes of questions with the judges can begin now. Arturo, why don't you kick us off?
That was a very good, impressive, succinct presentation. So, excuse me a second.
No worries.
So, you already have had experience training people like this. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what you think is going to be an objective that they can actually meet at the end of the training?
An intellectual what?
What will be an objective? Will they have a project or a program or something at the end of the training that they'll want to complete afterwards?
Yeah, so thank you so much for your question. So the thing is, what we had in our leadership program before, alumni of a program actually starting their own organization. Right now, I think the next year you will hear about Ayn Rand Center Belarus, which will start by our alumni. And there will be more organization which is starting by people who are inside and both exiled outside of Belarus from our previous programs. I wouldn't say we actually aim to have a specific target of number of organized events or something like that. Our idea is to give them tools and to equip them with enough tools so they will use it in a proper way. I wouldn't say like 6 years ago, the Telegram channel that Roman was the head of would be such an effective tool of mobilizing actually tens of thousands of people on the streets. So I think these people will find something much more innovative than we actually can think of. Our idea is to equip them with these tools and to actually, let them be free in what they actually want to do with these ideas. So that's our approach.
Fred, a question from you?
Following up on that, what you're going to do with that vision, how will you deal with the inevitable repression that you're going to find from Belarus or their agents?
It's a really good question. So first of all, as you may see, we try to frame our program in a really safe way. So for example, 50 people selected will go through interviews and due diligence, because I would say I have received threats from at KGB Gov Belarus already. So I know how to speak with KGB agents, and it's not really a pleasant thing to have. So we'll try to cut it off by having security measures on the selection, then when we have a conference, and then in the end of the day, so there will not be threat for them per se. But when they start doing some projects, actually, and we have experience of such projects in Belarus, it can be conducted in a safe way. I mean, people who are choosing to fight for freedom inevitably will end up in opposition to a regime. But the thing is, our idea is to equip them enough so we'll be smart enough to actually maneuver as long as possible, and to stay in a safe zone. And we will help them as long as we can with that as well. We're not interested, to collect people, say, hey, KGB, there's the folks you should arrest, and then throw them into the wilderness. No. What our idea is to do it in the safest way, and then in the end of the day, inform them that, and they already will know that, but inform them of the consequences of their action. And I think you'll still find people who will be willing to fight for freedom. I believe in that, really do.
Linda, a question from you.
How would you select? There must be dozens of students in Belarus who'd love to come. What will your selection process be?
Yeah, so thank you so much for this question. So our selection process will be based on our previous experience. What we had in our previous experience, we were having 100 applications and have just Google form and everything would go on the program. On this one, we'll go through interview phase, and then after interview phase, due diligence phase, when we're going to look through their profiles, ask for recommendations from other people who we know and trust. So not to actually have someone from outside inside the program. So this is the idea. We have application form, then interview, and then due diligence phase when we select actually people based on the recommendations from other folks we know. For example, Yaroslav Romanchuk will help us with that, who is a really important freedom fighter in Belarus. Maybe some of you in this room already met him, so yeah.
Any final brief questions for Daniil?
Yeah.
What ages are we talking about?
Agents. Yeah, so mainly speaking, Belarus, the main body of surveillance is still called KGB, literally. They have it still.
Now, how old are the candidates?
Ah, ages. I heard agents. Sorry, paranoia. We aiming from 18 to 35. From 18.
And on that note, Daniil, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our esteemed judges as well as our contestants tonight, Daniil, Basanta and Terem. I will shortly be escorting our judges to a super secret location for careful deliberation and a decision of the winner. But now it is time to break for our meal, and we will be back with the program shortly. For our virtual audience, we'll be taking a break and be back soon. In the meantime, check out more of what has been happening live here in Miami via following us on social media. I'm Vale Sloan, and thank you all for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Brad Lips.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the second half of our program. I understand that some of you liked our Shark Tank projects. We get a little round of applause for our Shark Tank's contestants tonight. Thank you, guys. I even heard a rumor. I heard a rumor that some individuals in the room may be contemplating making a donation to directly benefit one of these projects. Maybe a gift for Atlas Network itself. Seems like a good time to remind you that the provisions of the CARES Act to encourage charitable giving remain in place until December 31st. Donors can deduct up to 100%, not 60%, 100% of adjusted gross income, and the CARES Act allows an above-the-line donation of up to $300 for a single filer, $600 for those married and filing jointly. Give that a thought as you think about how much you love these projects. So, of course, thanks to the Smith Family Foundation, we do have a $25,000 prize that will be awarded a little later in the second half of this evening's program. But we've got one more exciting contest happening first, the elevator pitch contest that we hold in the name of our late friend, John Blundell, who was the second president and CEO of Atlas Network and then a board member until his death in 2014. John used to tell me that he loved the elevator pitch competition and thought that Liberty Forum was worth attending just for that. In his words, he said, it gives us a glimpse of our movement's future. So when John passed in 2014, we renamed this elevator pitch competition in his honor, and I started wearing this. See, I knew that Nick Gillespie for our movement kind of owns the Johnny Cash look. No one can rock a kilt like Lawson Bader, and I cannot catch up to Matt Kibbe with the tattoos, so I figured for my signature look, what would be better than a loud, fancy Guatemalan waistcoat? And actually, I do wear this with a lot of pride, because while tonight is really about our movement's future, it's a great tradition to pay tribute to our past. For 2 decades, John Blundell was the Director General of the Institute of Economic Affairs, the first think tank that Anthony Fisher created before he created Atlas Network. Anthony never ran the think tanks he created, including the IEA. He believed in hiring the right man and getting out of the way. That's what he did in 1957 with the hiring of Ralph Harris, who ran the Institute of Economic Affairs and led it to great heights of influence. That's worth an applause. We can do that. So Harris started in 1957. By 1979, with the election of Margaret Thatcher, and her attribution saying the reform agenda that we're now advancing is based on the intellectual foundations laid by the Institute of Economic Affairs, it became clear that Ralph was a fantastic think tank leader and that the Institute of Economic Affairs was enormously influential, which prompted the interest in replicating the experiment and therefore the creation of Atlas. But not only was Ralph a great think tank leader, he was an aficionado of the classic British waistcoat. So when he passed in 2006, a memorial service was organized by his friends with very explicit instructions that attendees were expected to wear waistcoats in Lord Harris's honor. Many miles away, the great Musso Ayau, who founded the Universidad Francisco Marroquín in Guatemala 50 years ago this year. To our friends at UFM. Musso lamented that he could not be there in person to pay tribute to Lord Harris, so he did the second best thing, which was send this Guatemalan waistcoat to be worn by John Blundell to celebrate Lord Harris's life. After Musso's death in 2010, John Blundell began wearing what he called his fancy waistcoat at Atlas events to remember these great men. And when John died 4 years later, having kept his terminal illness a secret from all of us who loved him, many who never got a chance to say thanks to John and to say goodbye to John, when when John's widow, Christine, said at John's funeral that he left this for me to wear, I knew that the way that I could say thanks was to wear this regularly in front of the crowd that are the future of the freedom movement and who will carry on John's legacy. So it really is a special moment for me each year when I get to wear this at Liberty Forum in memory of Lord Harris, of Musa Ayau, and of course of my friend John Blundell. Today's freedom movement stands on the shoulders of many who are no longer with us, but whose accomplishments should not be forgotten. And this is especially poignant this year. It seems an appropriate time for us to recognize that perhaps everyone in this room we're in has endured some kind of loss since the last time we saw each other. Losses of family and friends. I know that for some of you, these are emotional scars that are still pretty open. We did want to take the opportunity right now to remember some important friends of freedom actively involved with Atlas Network who have passed over the past 12 months. We'll go in alphabetical order, beginning with Bob Chichester, the founder of Free to Choose Network, who famously brought Milton Friedman's wisdom to a mass audience, devoting himself to presenting aspects of the freedom philosophy through video to audiences in high schools and through public television. Pete DuPont, the former governor of Delaware, who chaired the National Center for Policy Analysis in Dallas with John Goodman at the helm for many years, and who I recall speaking as the first keynote speaker at an Atlas event that I attended as a member of our staff back in 1999. Phil Harvey. The recency of Phil's passing makes this one feel especially raw. We've posted a remembrance of Phil you can find at Atlas Network. Phil was a great entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and our remembrance documents his courageous activism against governments infringing on civil liberties and Phil's activism in fighting for greater opportunities for all. Steve Horwitz, one of the most energetic and thoughtful Austrian economics of my generation. Steve died way too young at the age of 57 this past summer, less than a year after receiving the Julian L. Simon Award from our friends at Competitive Enterprise Institute. Helen Kriebel is part of a wonderful philanthropic family that's nurtured so many groups that support free enterprise and limited government, with special attention to how we might improve immigration policy to respect the dignity of those who seek economic opportunity and to encourage responsibility for what it means to be a citizen. Yuri Kochevrin. Yuri was involved in secret reading groups in Moscow before the dissolution of the Soviet Union, studying Coase, Demsetz, Hayek. Tom Palmer and John Blundell arranged for Yuri to speak at an Atlas Network dinner in 1990 to talk about the cultural difficulties in addition to the technical and economic difficulties of implementing market reforms in post-communist societies. Deepak Lal, the great Indian-born British economist who spent most of his career teaching at UCLA. Deepak made important contributions to development economics and other topics, president of Mont Pelerin Society and a speaker for Atlas Network on numerous occasions. Bob Mundell, the Nobel laureate economist most associated with the creation of the euro, who spoke for Atlas Network many times in the 90s, including programs in China. Steve Pejovich, born in Belgrade, a survivor of communism and fascism, a wonderful economist, teacher, mentor, and intellectual entrepreneur at Texas A&M. John Raybould was a founding member of the Fraser Institute and later the marketing manager of the IEA in London during the Thatcher years. In 2006, he was the first recipient of our special Fisher Achievement Award. George Shultz, the famed Secretary of State under Ronald Reagan, who resided at the Hoover Institution, a Mont Pelerin Society member who attended several Atlas programs. Last month, we lost Richard Stroop, a co-founder of PERC and one of the pioneers of the new resource economics, also known as free market environmentalism. Rick's book, Economics, What Everyone Should Know About Economics and the Environment, won Atlas's Fisher Memorial Award in 2004. Manuel Suarez Mir. I was honored to get to know Manuel through the Alamos Alliance, since it's been partnering with Center for Latin America at Atlas Network. He's better known for his career as a senior official of Mexico's central bank and finance ministry, where he strongly attacked the scourges of inflation, cronyism, and corruption. And finally, Walter Williams, a modern-day Frederick Bastiat. Walter was without peers in teaching economic truths with humor and clarity. From his book, The State Against Blacks, published by Manhattan Institute shortly after the founding of Atlas, to his long career at GMU, his hilarious turns hosting the Rush Limbaugh program and taking MC roles for Atlas Network's anniversary events, Walter was one of a kind. Man, it has been a year of loss, which makes it, I think, that much more important that we all take to heart how important it is to bring new energy and new people to carry on the cause that was held in common by those whose lives we've honored tonight. Let's now turn attention to the future. I'm going to ask Atlas Network's Vice President of Training and Events, Dr. Patty Holbein, to come to the stage, perhaps lighten the mood a little bit and get us going with the 2021 John Blundell Elevator Pitch Competition. Patty.
Okay, thank you, Brad, and thank you for the history of our competition's namesake and honoring all the great leaders that we have lost in the past year. It's really humbling to listen to all of the names called and the accomplishments and those shoulders that we stand on, so we really want to honor that. We look forward to continuing to connect our movement's legendary past to those who provide its bright future. And that future indeed is very bright, as you will soon hear. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2021 John Blundell Elevator Pitch Competition. I'm excited to be in person with all of you this year and want to introduce to you our 12 contestants, all of whom participated in the last 3 days of a rigorous Leader Lab program, one of the many great training programs through our Atlas Network Academy. For those of you new to this competition, participants were challenged to give their best elevator pitch, succinctly conveying the value proposition of their work as they might communicate it to a potential supporter in less than 60 seconds to a panel of judges. No pressure. From the initial 43 participants, 12 were selected to present their pitches to you today. At the end of the pitches, guess what? You, the audience, will get to vote on the best elevator pitch. So please give each contestant your attention, take notes, and be ready to cast your vote when the time comes. For some of you, if you're comfortable using a paper ballot, I'll ask you to raise your hand if you would like a paper ballot. And at the end of all of the pitches, I'll explain to you how to use our electronic voting system through your phones, because we're cool like that. We have the electronic voting. So for today's competition, the presentation order is pretty random, and I want to let you know that third place will be awarded $500 for their organization. Second place will get $1,000, and first place will take home $1,500 in grant prize money for their organization. That's right, yeah! So get your pen and paper ready to take some notes, and without further ado, let's get started. First up, we have Brett Byers, McDonald Lauer Institute. Brett.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last 2 years have unfortunately been miserable. And why? What is causing this misery? It has been government myopia, focusing solely on human health to the detriment of all other elements of human well-being, economic prosperity, individual freedom. At the McDonald-Laurier Institute, we understand this because we have, in fact, studied it. MLI's COVID Misery Index is a comparative, interactive, data-driven tool that looks at a variety of countries' different responses to the pandemic. And what we found was that different countries did indeed have very different responses. We know this project has been successful. We've had hundreds of media hits, and then we've been on the lips of the top policymakers in our country. But here's where you can help, and here's where we want to do more. With a cash infusion of $50,000, we can take this project to the next level. And if you believe that reducing human misery is a priority, and if you believe that governments should be protectors of human well-being rather than acting to their detriment, I kindly ask for your support. Thank you.
Well done. Way to go, Brett. All right, that was Brett Byers. Our next contestant is Jack Confey of the Institute of Economic Affairs. Jack?
I'd like you to imagine an Afghanistan in 15 years' time where more of its people care and understand about the benefits of freedom. And that's why I'm here today to tell you how we can do that. The tool is a documentary which will be used as a fundraising initiative to help our friends in Afghanistan return safely when they can. I'm here today to ask you for £20,000, and the fundraising target for this is £40,000. We're confident we can achieve this. Their story is their fight and flight from Kabul earlier this year when the Taliban seized control and they found themselves on the kill list. The purpose of this is to enable them to return safely to Afghanistan, to continue the great work they've done in promoting the ideas of a free society in Afghanistan. I'm working with Martin Durkin, a Channel 4 producer, and our aim is to achieve network distribution. I'd just like to remind you, imagine in 10 years' time an Afghanistan where a leader or a leader of the opposition is a libertarian, or at least somebody that understands free markets. Thank you.
All right, way to go, Jack. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jack Confey. Next, we have Kaylee Cunningham from the Conservation Coalition.
Thanks, Patty. Everyone in this room knows that big government has been controlling the environmental conversation for far too long. We at the Conservation Coalition are dedicated to bringing free market principles to the forefront of the conversation. And that's why this summer, we are going to take our movement to the next level by hosting the first ever conservative environmental summit in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of activists will gather to equip themselves with the tools and knowledge that they need to head back into their communities and lead this cause. But we can't have a summit without sponsorship. And so I hope each and every one of you and your organization signs on as a sponsor this coming year and help us make this historic event a reality. Thank you so much, and see you this summer.
Great. Kaylee Cunningham. Next up, we have Eustace Iniga from Prometheus Institute.
Our free society has a problem. It is based on the fragile ideas of freedom that cannot defend itself. As a German, my folks devised a lot of different tools to fight against the idea of liberty. This is why, in our shared history, we know how important the role of public intellectuals is, using the 3 bullets in their barrel: reading, writing, speaking. But where are the role models for the next generation of freedom leaders? In Berlin, we will host 4 events next year to introduce young students to role models in public intellectualism, like think tanking, journalism, and science. Today, I ask for your support to give us $10,000 to bring the future leaders of liberty together with the public intellectual icons of today. Dankeschön.
All right, Eustace, way to go. You did it. Eustace, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we have Bobby Fortune from Bearing Tree.
We're all here because we believe we're ready to change the world and change the lives of people in it. But to do that, you have to keep the lights on at your organization. So I'm talking about the exciting work of payroll processing, of development strategies, and keeping track of those pesky state charitable registrations. That's why our team at Bearing Tree is so important. We're doing this work for organizations such as the Illinois Policy Institute and Iron Light and many others. These several multi-million-dollar organizations are changing the lives of everyday people because they no longer have to focus on the everyday, day-to-day operations that you don't want to hear me talk about. So please come talk to my team at Bearing Tree so we can make it easier for you to make a difference.
All right. Well done. Congratulations. Bobby Fortune from Bearing Tree. Our next contestant, yeah, all right. Andres Lozano from, I practice this, Fundación Ciudadanía y Desarrollo.
Thank you. By the time I finish this speech, Ecuador will lose $5,000 of public fund to the corruption. In a country with the monthly average income is less than $250, that means corruption takes every minute the income of 20 Ecuadorians. There is no possibility of promoting free market institutions in a country where the norm is the opposite. There are no chance for prosperity and wealth in a country where the money for development disappears into the pocket of the politician class. At Fundación Ciudadanía y Desarrollo, we believe that education, research, and individual freedom are the best tools for fight against corruption. For example, this year we have helped to create an open data public procurement platform to improve transparency and to promote free market competition. We are doing a great job, but there is still a long way to go, and we need your support. If you have heard about transparency, if you have interest about liberty, if you want to construct a better society, join us like a financial support.
Okay. Andres, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have Joseph Milligan from the Mackinac Center for Public Policy.
Good evening. For far too long, the public school system in Michigan has placed the interests of a narrow group of adults over the needs of children and families. Parents, and especially poor and minority parents, are desperately looking for better choices for their kids. But in Michigan, we have a provision in our state constitution called the Blaine Amendment, which stands in the way of meaningful reform towards school choice. The Mackinac Center for Public Policy is suing the state of Michigan to end the Blaine Amendment once and for all, and to open up a world of possibilities for reforms to help families who are in desperate situations. Make no mistake, this is the civil rights issue of our time. We need to stop funding systems and start funding families. We need all of your help to do that. We need you to make the Mackinac Center your top giving priority in this coming year. Thank you all so much.
Joseph Milligan from the Mackinac Center. Next up, we have Jason Reed from Young Voices.
Across the world, the media has a problem. Editors of print and online publications and producers of radio and TV shows have slipped into complacency with their regular contributors. They use the same roster of people again and again, so our newspapers and our TV screens are full of the same voices, pushing the same tired old ideas that we've all heard 1,000 times before. Young Voices is the solution to that problem. We train and pitch young people to the media so they can talk eloquently about the issues they care about. We provide the media with polished young commentators who have a fresh, liberty-minded perspective. In the US, we've seen tremendous success with hundreds of major media hits every year. Young Voices then empowered me to replicate that success in the UK, and now I want to do the same elsewhere. As little as $30,000 could help lift up other young leaders just like me. My 60 seconds are up, but Young Voices is just getting started.
Jason Reed, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have Scooter Schaefer from Competitive Enterprise Institute.
Each year, law enforcement seizes billions of dollars in cash and property from law-abiding Americans. You've seen the stories, you know the problems, but most Americans have no idea what to do when they're faced with property seizure. Property seizure often happens in a series of intentional, escalating interactions in which law enforcement wins when property is seized. It's a game, and Americans have no idea how to play it. That's why the Competitive Enterprise Institute wants to produce a video offering real-time, in-the-moment, practical strategies to people who are facing property seizure. We have the expertise, we have the legal team, and we need $10,000 to create this video and hire a kick-ass team. I hope you'll support us. Thank you.
Scooter Schaefer, ladies and gentlemen. Our next contestant is Christine Van Gyn from the Canadian Constitution Foundation.
Hi, everyone. Melissa lives in a small town in Canada, and like a lot of us, she's mad at her government. So mad she put up a flag in front of her house that says, "Forget Trudeau." Well, it doesn't say forget, it uses a different F word, you can probably guess. But we live in a country where we can criticize our government using whatever words we choose. It's a very precious freedom that many people around the world don't have. So when I heard that Melissa's town had ordered her to take down her flag, I went and knocked on her door and told her that she has a constitutionally protected right to fly it and that the Canadian Constitution Foundation would fight for her. That's what we do. We fight for people who are being hurt by unjust laws, whether it's a limit to their free expression, a denied property right, or an over-the-top COVID restriction. We stand between individuals and oppressive state action, and we're often their only option for help. But today, I need your help. Donate to Melissa's case.
All right. That's okay. Good job. Well done. Christine Van Gyn, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we will hear from Garrett Watson from the Tax Foundation.
Often when we think about the pandemic over the last 2 years, we think of services such as Skype and Zoom. But we shouldn't forget about the small business owners, the millions of hardworking people who have been critical during the pandemic. For example, consider the small mom and pop shop who helped deliver groceries to the elderly, or the entrepreneur who helped deliver jobs to their workers by cashing out their life savings. Now, these businesses need our help. Over 90% of these small businesses are saying that our complex, broken tax code is driving them out of business and causing them all sorts of problems and a lack of success. At the Tax Foundation, we're asking for a $28,000 investment so that we can conduct cutting-edge research and create compelling video series featuring these entrepreneurs to lift up the courageous voices representing them, and also ensure that policymakers know that the tax code does not need to stand in the way of the success of these entrepreneurs. Thank you.
All right. You did it. Great. That was Garrett Watson, ladies and gentlemen. Our final contestant is Erica York from the Tax Foundation.
Words like the Internal Revenue Service and the April 15th tax filing deadline strike fear into the hearts of everyday Americans. And that fear is compounded by ongoing debates to punitively tax successful businesses and individuals. But taxes don't have to be that way. Envision with me a tax code that doesn't stand in the way of success, but instead enables growth and opportunity for everyday Americans. Tax Foundation is the organization with the tools, relationships, and expertise to work towards such a tax code. With your financial support, our new Growth and Opportunity Initiative will build on our proven track record of informing pro-growth tax policy at the federal level. Together, we can lay the groundwork for tax policy reforms that will take the fear out of filing taxes. And that's why today I'm asking you to support our new Growth and Opportunity Initiative with a $10,000 donation so we can get launched in 2022. Thank you.
That was Erica York, our final contestant. So I'd ask all of you to kind of come along here so people can see your faces, because you will have faces. If you would like a paper ballot, please raise your hand. You all have your work cut out for you because they were amazing. So it's time to cast your vote, and I'm going to put up here how to vote electronically as well. So follow the instructions here. For our virtual participants, please use the Vote Now button on your screen. So grab your phones, cast your votes, and staff will be coming around to hand out a paper ballot. If you want a paper ballot, please keep your hand up until a staff member comes to see you. And what? One. And when you're done, staff will be coming around to collect them, so we're hoping to have all of the ballots tabulated in about 8 to 10 minutes. There are your contestants, so make your selections. So I'll give you another minute to hand out some ballots. So when you have your ballot completed, you can fold it over and hold it up, and a staff member will come around and collect it. We're going to close voting in 8 minutes. So in the meantime, I want to invite back up to the stage Atlas Network's CEO, Brad Lips, to share with us a special recognition. Brad?
Okay. All right, while you guys are focusing on the voting, I would like you to give me your attention here at the podium. So we're actually going to ask the vice chair of our board, the treasurer of our board, Scott Barbie, to make some remarks in honor of one of our really valued colleagues. So please welcome Scott Barbie.
It's been a lot of fun to watch the immense progress that Atlas has made over the last several years in the development of such a strong bench of communicators for liberty. People are able to competently make these compelling arguments needed to win the battle. I, for one, really admire that skill set. I'm not sure how you all do it. In fact, I'm a guy who spends a lot of time sitting at the computer, and I was actually living my best life in COVID life, in quarantine, and have trouble when I get out and talk to people, much less be on a stage here in front of such a great, large audience here this year. I talked to my wife about it, and she said, don't worry, Scott, what's the worst that could happen? You'll look presidential. Nevertheless, I stand here tonight with the important task of recognizing a valuable contributor to Atlas who has used a different skill set to make a lasting impact for the cause of liberty. Not from behind the podium like so many that you see tonight, but off stage, where so much of the important work that Atlas does to support the liberty movement goes on, often outside the spotlight. This individual that we recognize tonight is someone who has dedicated a significant portion of his life to helping ensure that our organization has a proper financial stewardship. This man has been the essential team player who for 2 decades has helped the Atlas organization compile, manage, and communicate an increasingly mind-blowing, numbing, complex assortment of organizational financial reports and data to the board, to the tax people, to the financial regulatory authorities. This guy has worked behind the scenes and often with little public recognition in areas that are not particularly fun, always willing to courageously roll up his sleeves and take any task asked of him. And all the while exemplifying the Atlas ideals of optimism, humility, honesty, and dedication to mission and competence. So as a treasurer of Atlas, I know this man's longevity with Atlas, his diligence, his transparency, and his loyalty and dedication to the mission made him an important and reliable pillar of support for the organization today, helping to ensure Atlas's sound operations and the achievement of greater heights. So on behalf of the board of directors tonight, I would like to recognize and express our gratitude to Romulo Lopez Cordero, our longtime
Wow, that is so appropriate. Romulo is one of the heroes of Atlas, one of the heroes of our movement, and I'm so glad we got to acknowledge 20 years of service to this organization. We have a lot of announcements to make in rapid succession over the next few minutes, but I do want to take one quick moment to pause because I have again heard that some of you are interested in supporting some of the work that you've seen tonight. So I would like to just let you know that we have our VP of Development, Chad Goody, right here. Chad, wave your hand. So yeah, track that man down or email development@atlasnetwork.org and tell us what excited you tonight, and we will make sure that we follow up because we know there's generous people excited by the work you've seen, and that's a wonderful thing for me to hear. Before we get to the announcement of the Think Tank Shark Tank competition and the Blundell elevator pitch competition, we do want to announce the winner of one other remarkable prize that, among all the things that the Smith Family Foundation does, this is just another really fantastic thing. The Smith Student Outreach Award is something we've been giving out annually for several years. It recognizes the best student-focused project for liberty. And I'd like you to join me in congratulating the Institut Ostrom Catalonia from Spain for their project, Empowering the Next Generation of Free Minds 2021. The Ostrom Institute has won this award for an educational program they launched designed to teach secondary school students the basics of free market economics. Their curriculum uses engaging teaching methods like games, videos, group discussions to provide students with an introduction to price mechanisms, spontaneous order, creative destruction, and other economic topics. They aim to increase students' critical thinking and create an interest in entrepreneurship and enable them to evaluate societal problems through the lens of economics. We've already got them here, so gentlemen, thank you so much. Congratulations. Let me find this. Okay, the next thing I get to announce, it says here in the notes, I get to tell you about the winner of the Think Tank Shark Tank competition. Let's invite to the stage to give a couple minutes of remarks Daniel Lubkin for the Free Belarus Project of Ukrainian Students for Freedom, the winner of the 2021 Think Tank Shark Tank competition.
Yeah, okay. Well, this speech is going to be much worse prepared than previous one because you don't usually rehearse winning speeches, you know, just in case not to get upset. So the thing is that I believe that I need to have some kind of announcement. And if everything's going to be okay next year with Visa Center and embassies, I can assure you that we will see more people from Belarus coming to these events and participating in freedom movements. I can assure you with that for 100%. And the other thing we discussed with other participants of Think Tank Shark Tank, that sometimes you sit on a table before your screen, it's not really happening, you just do really monotonous work, you know, not really living a good life. But when you come together to this room, when you see these people, these bright ideas, you see there's something at stake. You see that we're doing a great job actually improving human lives. Frederick Bastiat wrote a lot of really good thoughts, and one of them, something what is seen and unseen. What we do is a wonderful unseen magic of improving people's lives, fighting for their freedom, and fighting for their future. Thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Danielle. The next thing on my agenda, as the team furiously counts ballots back in the dark behind the stage, is to show you this slide. If you've enjoyed this meeting, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy tomorrow as well, I hope that you'll start to put on your calendar the dates for Atlas Network events that we're holding next year, including the Liberty Forum and Freedom Dinner, which will be back in New York in November 16-17. For next year. We also will be resuming in-person regional Liberty Forums in Europe, where we're going to be in Kiev, May 12th to 13th. Our Latin America Liberty Forum will be in Mexico City with our friend Roberto Salinas Leon, June 9th and 10th. We're very proud to be partnering with the Odessa Institute Afrique in Ivory Coast for a virtual Liberty Forum for our Africa Liberty Forum, August 25th and 26th. And the Asia Liberty Forum will be held in Manila, Philippines, September 29th and 30th. So please do put those dates on your calendar. It's a lot of fun to travel the world and see how this network builds enthusiasm and generates new ideas by coming together. I'm now going to ask whether somebody backstage is going to hand me the results of the John Blundell Elevator Competition, or if I'll have to vamp in front of 500 people. Does anybody have something to juggle? Lovely Sheila. I was afraid she had something to juggle. It would have been really interesting for calling out. All right. Third place, we've got Kelly Cunningham of the Conservation Coalition, USA. Second place, we have Andrés Lozana from Fundación Cuidado y Desarrollo. Thanks. And our first place winner, with apologies for the fact that I can't really read her surname, Christine Van Gung from the Canadian Constitution Foundation. Okay, So I think we've done this. We do have Lindy playing again outside and in the garden. I forget what we call that. No one's going to help me. Americana lawn. It's so wonderful for us all to be together. I do hope that you'll join and celebrate. We do begin early tomorrow with the Liggio lecture at 9 o'clock and a special breakfast with our friends from Ed Choice that begins at 8 o'clock. So don't stay up too late, but do enjoy the rest of the evening. And thanks for being a part of our Eyes on the Prize dinner at Atlas Network Liberty Forum.